you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. What's up YouTube? What's up my fellow flight simmers? Pilot 83 here, doing a highly requested video on my setup controls for the Velocityone, my profiles and how mine are set up. So I use different profiles on mine. Alright, so I have, I believe, 4 I have currently, and this is a big request going out to Neo Concord, who asked me to go into deep detail about my setup and how I have it. So you'll notice with my buttons here, my buttons are set up, I've changed them around. They're set up to be more universal, where I don't need to change them per plane. So once these buttons are set up, which I'm going to show you, only thing we're really going to change, which will come up here later, is the levers. As far as the yoke and all the buttons on the yoke, I think those are all perfect. If you don't know what any of those buttons do on your yoke, you can always go back to your Velocityone flight management display right there and just go down to the training, and you can see what each button does. I'm very happy with what they do, with the rudder trim being on the hatch and the cameras and all that stuff. So I don't mess with any of that. All that is where it should be. So to start this off, and this video might be a little bit long, I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible to understand. I know there's a lot to this. So we're going to go to options, control options, and you'll see over here the Velocityone has 2 basic profiles, which I've discussed already in my previous video tutorials on this. If you have not watched them, you'll see a link posted above. I have a whole playlist. So you'll see single engine prop and twin engine jet, which are the 2 default profiles as of the moment in the Velocityone until their next update when they do the quad engine, which it doesn't really matter because we can make a quad engine. I have 2 set up in here, and we'll go over how to make those. So none of my profiles are made completely from scratch. All my profiles have been made from one of the 2 here, because this here gives you a good base to start on. Like I said, this already has all the buttons pre-planned out in the yoke, and over here as well. I just switch around what I want to switch. So to get started to do that, what you would do is you would go to, say, to twin engine jet here, and then you just go to preset manager, and you can just go to duplicate and rename it. Rename your duplicate one. It will have the same options. It won't affect any of the 2 default ones. Those will always be there, but you can rename it, or you can just simply change something in here and it's going to make you make a new profile. So let me show you my profiles. I have a quad engine 4 lever, which is when I'm flying like the Boeing 747 and I want to use all 4 levers. In that setup, I have flaps down here. I have my twin jet custom, my quad engine 2 lever configuration, which is when I'm flying the 747. Instead of using all 4 of these, all 4 levers for jet engines, I use the middle 2. I use 1 lever for 2 engines on the left wing, and the other lever for 2 engines on the right wing, and then I have air brake to my far left lever and flaps to my far right lever. Alright, so then I have my single prop custom, and we will also make one here, because there's one I did have that I erased, and I'm just going to make it just so I can show you the buttons set up here. And once we have these buttons set up, they're good. We don't have to mess with them anymore. At that point, you can literally just keep duplicating whatever profile that you set up, and then just change the name of it and change your levers whatever around that you want to do personally for your own taste. So let's go to single engine prop, and that's not just for propellers. I mean, it will work for a single jet engine. So I'm gonna have this set up for like a single jet engine, and let me lower this here just a little bit. I feel like we're losing some focus, and I want to make sure that y'all are getting good focus here on these buttons. So you notice I have engine start, auto throttle, autopilot, decrease flaps, landing gear, landing lights, increase flaps. This says altitude, that's for hold altitude, reverse thrust, parking brakes. Now you notice I have decreased flaps and increased flaps here. That's only for when I'm using my quad engine setup with a 747, where I don't have my flaps actually on a lever, that I actually use those two buttons. Other than that, I have them set up in every other plane as like lights or something. I just have it memorized in my head. And the landing gear too. Most of my setups, the landing gear is actually on a lever, but for the ones like my twin jet customs, landing gear is on the button here because I use the levers for air brake and flaps. So here we go. So single engine prop. We'll go to preset manager here. Let's duplicate this. We're going to rename this. I'm going to call it single jet engine config. Alright, so now we're going to start moving some things around. But like I said, for this here, right now, we're going to start with the buttons. So some of these are already going to be set, and some of them are not. So first thing we need to do is power management. Let's go to throttle. So it gives us two throttles here. We don't need that. I don't need this for a jet. And anytime you have two of these levers doing the same thing for the same option, you need to get rid of it, or it's going to cause issues when you pause. So this here, obviously for prop, this is for jet. So this throttle 1 axis, we're going to get rid of it. So we're going to click this here, clear current input, validate. Alright, we no longer have this. We don't need it. We're doing a jet. Boom, boom. We have that now. Propeller, axis. That can all go because we're not going to be using it. Alright, so that's my throttle access right there is 1. So I'm going to switch my throttle access. Come up here for a minute. We're going to be working with these. I'm going to switch my throttle access from here to here. So clear current input, start scanning, validate. Alright, so now this is my throttle. Now there's going to be some things here. Also, when you get rid of mixture, because we're not going to need that on the levers. This is a jet, like I said. So, like I said, a lot of this stuff you're going to have to clear. So let's clear that. But I'm just building this profile so you get an idea of how to build it. So now you know that this is my throttle for my jet. Alright, so now I want this to be air brake. So air brake is not going to come up on this little list here. We're going to search for spoilers. So we'll search for spoiler access. And access basically means it has up and down motion. It's not considered a button. So start scanning. Boom. Validate. So when something is an access option, it has this. Landing gear does not have an access option, so that's why I have a video on how to set your landing gear, but we're also going to go over it again here. So, like I said, this is for a single engine jet. So we now have air brakes here, throttles here, flap access. I want to make this flap access. And we probably have flaps already assigned. We're going to get rid of those as well. No, it already has it assigned for me. Okay, so good. So flap access right here. If it wasn't assigned to this, then you would assign it to that. Okay, so air brake, throttle, flaps. I'm gonna make this one right here landing gear. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply and save real quick. Get out of this. Go back to the main screen here, so I can get back to see what exactly is all going on in this here. We need to go to flight control surfaces, primary control surfaces. That looks good. Let's look at this here. That looks great. Spoilers. So flaps are on axis. Okay, great. If flaps were not on axis and you wanted to assign flaps to a button, you would just go to, well, actually, we'll come back to that. Let's go to landing gear real quick. So let's go to, I think for this we have to type in just gear to get the option to come up. Okay. So there's no landing gear access, like I said. So if you're wanting to use landing gear, oh, sorry guys, if you're wanting to use landing gear on a lever and not on a button, this is how you do it. So gear up, there you go. Action type on press. Gear up needs to be on press. So it's showing basically on the graph in the system that when this is fully up, the gear should go up. Gear down, start scanning, do the same thing. It's going to say this is already being used somewhere else. You want to bind it anyway. We do want to bind it. But on action type, we're going to do on release. And I don't know why I just cleared that. Same thing, so on release, validate. Now we have air brake, throttle, landing gear up and down, flaps. Apply and save. Go back out of this. Like I said, it's time consuming, guys. I know. I'm doing the best I can here. Feeling under the weather, but I'm gonna do it. Alright, so now let's get back to the buttons, because our buttons are going to stay the same for all these configurations. None of this changes. Only thing that might change is if you actually use it or not. And if you're not using it in one of your profiles, do unassign that button or make it something else, because it can confuse the game when you pause, and that's where you get these crazy things happening. So we'll start going through these. So we'll go back to my single jet engine configuration. So you can go through all this here, and you can see where you have your things set up, your power management and everything. It'll show you everything that you do have assigned. Now let's see what my autopilot has on here. Alright, so autopilot toggle master. It should be right here. B7, button 37 in the system. Let's see if that's it. So saying that this is being used somewhere else as decrease flaps. So we're just gonna double check it one more time, because sometimes it gives you false readings. Yes, we do want to bind it anyway. So what we need to do now is we need to go search in. Well, actually, an easier way to do this would be to come out of this, apply and save, control options, go back to this, and let's go back to our flight control surfaces, because we obviously have flaps. Yeah, for some reason we have decreased flaps set here by itself randomly. Don't know why that's there. So we need to get rid of that. So just clear current input, validate. No longer an issue. Alright. I believe on all of these, I believe engine start is by default right here. Let's check it. Let me see here, guys. Try to find this here. Instruments. Okay, so that'd be right there. It'd be auto start engine, button 31. So let's clear current input and make sure that's it. Sometimes you'll get this right here that pops up. This is a glitch. Clear that out. Start scanning again. Validate. Perfect. Parking brakes are default here, I believe, on all these profiles as well. Let's just double check it. Toggle parking brakes, button 32. See, that's glitching out. Make sure you get that one button, button 32. Okay. So now we have that set. Now auto throttle. I believe we're going to have to type in just autopilot to find this. We already did our autopilot, which is the total autopilot master there. So we're looking for arm or autopilot throttle here. Let me read this real quick, guys. While we are here, we can go down here to this button where I have altitude, autopilot, altitude. Actually, no, wait a minute, guys. We'll come back to that. Oh, there it is. Arm auto throttle. Start scanning. See, you'll get those glitches. Alright, so it says this is bind to fill pump. Do you want to validate? Yes. So we're going to validate it as auto throttle. And then we're going to find this toggle fill pump. Don't know why that's on there, but we're going to get rid of it. So that clears that up. So now we have engine, parking brake, auto throttle, and autopilot set. Now let's do reverse thrust. So as you know, reverse thrust is broken right now in the game. So normally what we would do come on. So normally what we would do is we would use toggle throttle reverse thrust. But until they fix that in the next update, since they broke it, that doesn't work. So for now, we have to use a different option that works pretty well, a workaround. And that is decrease throttle. So search decrease throttle. And you just hold this button. Might be decrease thrust. It's one of those. No, it's decrease throttle. And at any point of where your throttle's at, if you just hold this button down, it will start to bring your throttle down, and it will bring it all the way down into reverse thrust. So we will click on decrease throttle, start scanning, and we're going to use this as reverse thrust. See those glitches? Remember, don't use that. So we're going to assign to button 34. It says toggle all fill valves. And yours might say something different. Just whatever it says under there that is already bind to, just search it and get rid of it. So I'm going to validate this. Then we're going to search for toggle all fill valves and get rid of that. So like I said, so if there's something on there that's already bind to it that does not need to be there, we're just going to clear it, validate. Alright, so I also have decrease and increase flaps. Like I said, that is for my bigger, that's for my quad engine jet. So it doesn't really matter if I assign those in this setup. But if you were to assign those in this setup, in this situation, I just memorize other things for it that I use it for. So normally I use it for like lights, like taxi lights, landing lights, things of that nature. But we will go over that real quick though. Let's go back to altitude. We didn't do that one. So that'll be these 6 buttons fully covered and set up. So you'll know that those are my 6 buttons that I always have set on my thing. I cannot spell today, guys. Did I spell it right? No. Altitude. So you will search for toggle autopilot altitude hold. Boom. Start scanning. It glitches every time, guys. That's got to be fixed. And this is already being used somewhere else as increased flaps. So we're going to validate it, and then we're going to look for increased flaps. Get rid of it. Because I have flaps on the lever, remember? Validate. Alright, so we'll go ahead and apply and save since we've done all those changes. So that's these 6 buttons all set. Those buttons: engine start, parking brake, auto throttle, autopilot, reverse thrust, altitude. Those, what I have those set on is what you need to have those set on. Exactly those, or they're not going to work right. Now, in this configuration, like I said, I leave these stickers on these buttons because, like I said, I use this as a universal setup. But in this configuration, so you don't have to go along with this, but I'm doing this for myself. What I am going to do is I use it for lights. Maybe later on I'll use it for a tail hook or something. I don't know. So taxi lights. How much? Let's see what that is. So it's probably the one under it right here, I'm guessing. Nope. Validate. And we will change landing gear because we have landing gear up here. So we will change that in just a minute. Navigation lights. Oh. So that's already used as landing lights. So that's good. We'll leave that the way it is. Validate. And let's do beacon lights. Now we need to remove landing gear from a button because I have landing gear on a lever. And this will be good for like the Goshawk, which is a single engine jet. I don't need to toggle landing gear because I have landing gear on the lever, like I said. So, validate. Apply and save. Like I said, those options could be however you want those to be. Now, let's go back. I have that all set up. Y'all saw me go through a full setup of setting up a single engine jet. Now let's talk real quick about other things. Okay, so in all my other profiles, landing lights is always landing lights. Landing gear I use in my quad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I use it in my quad engine 2-lever configuration. I use it in my twin jet custom. Basically anything that's 2 jets or more, I have landing gear as a button. If it's single prop or 1 jet, I keep landing gear up here. So on my twin jet custom, I use, sorry guys, someone would be trying to comment right now. I use, this is air brake, left engine, right engine, flaps. So let's take a look at this. So you look at my power management here, throttle, you'll see. Now all you got to do is search for throttle over here in your search by name, and you'll see 4 throttle accesses. Make sure it says access. You'll see a throttle 1, 2, 3, and 4 access, and just assign it to the levers. In this situation, landing gear is on a button. These are just my lights in the background. So basically everything stays the same besides the decreased flaps, increased flaps, and the landing gear sometimes changes from here to here. But these are here for my quad engine setup. Now I do have 2 setups for quad engines. I have the quad engine with the 4 levers, which you'll see right here. There's a throttle 1, 2, 3, and 4 access, which all work off the levers. So landing gears here, flaps are on the buttons, decrease flaps, increase flaps, and you'll see that when I go to it's going to be under flight control surfaces. It's going to be under I believe control trimming services, maybe not, secondary control surface. Yes, so you'll see increase flaps, decrease flaps. So you will search for increased flaps and decreased flaps, exactly that as it says, because there's many options, and search by name, and you will assign it. And if there's already something there, remember what I showed you in making that previous configuration, clear it out. So that gives me the ability to use 4 engines and have flaps here instead. And also in that scenario for my air brake, I just use the mouse inside the cockpit to do that. Now on my, you're probably wondering, on my quad engine 2-lever configuration, how this works is, let me show you. I assigned two throttles, left wing, right wing. So I assigned 2 throttles to 1 lever. So when you search for your throttle 1, throttle 2 access, you will just assign them both here. It'll tell you that there's one already assigned to it. That's fine. Just click validate. You're going to assign another one to it. So that allows me, you know, if I want to do it this way instead, it allows me to do that, have air brake here, have flaps here, which I prefer a lot more. Landing gear still on the button. Use the landing gear for that. I rarely use the quad lever. I like using the 2 lever for now. Landing light stays the same. So only time I use these decrease, increase flaps is when I'm using the quad. But other than that, I'll give these buttons different options. They're not listed at the stickers. I might eventually, like, I don't know, I might give it a tow hook once the, you know, tail hook actually works on aircraft carriers. But that is my profiles and how I have them set up. So I always have my air brake on the left here under air brake access, as I showed you. I always have my flaps here under the flap access. Throttles here. Now, if some of y'all are confused about, say a single prop custom. Single prop custom. It's very simple. This is my throttle. This is, which I'd have to click on propeller. This is my propeller RPM. This is my mixture. Mixture access, which sorry guys, I actually have on a lever here that's for like low and high idle for planes that have that option. And again, flaps up here, landing gear is here. I believe I have it set to that on here. Yeah, and landing gear is here. So it's that simple. Just the biggest things to remember is if you have throttle connected twice, so like you'll notice on some of these profiles, like you might pull this back for throttle, but also this will work as a throttle for at the same time for the same exact thing. Get rid of one of those, choose the one you're going to use for that, only have that one throttle. Don't know why it does it that way, but anything that's duplicated like that, and like I said, and throttles do duplicate from some of these profiles. Just go down, look at your throttles in the main screen right there, and make sure, like you saw earlier, that both of these do the same exact thing for throttle 1. Get rid of it, and be sure to clear anything that's on a button that you're trying to bind to. If something's already on that button that you are trying to bind to that you don't want there, be sure you go back and clear that from that button, or you're going to have issues. But other than that, guys, that is my setup. It's that simple. I hope I made it very simple. If you have any more questions about this, just comment below, and I'll get back to you. It's very simple. We should have reverse thrust coming in the future, and these detents down here in the next update as well. So we should be able to get away from that option as well. But that's how you go through it. Most of the stuff you're going to need, you're going to have to search for. And if you feel like you get lost or confused in where you're at in all this, just go back to control options, and then go back to this here, and you could see what you have assigned, like autopilot. I have autopilot master, altitude hold, and I just realized that I'm actually missing my auto throttle on this profile, so let me get that. And of course it doesn't come up like that. Why does it gotta be so difficult? So we gotta search autopilot again. And obviously there can't be a space in autopilot. That's what I told you. This can get very annoying. Alright, so now I need to go down. Find auto throttle. I'm not sure if that's what it was under. Let me go back here, guys. So it's arm auto throttle. Arm auto throttle. arm auto throttle. Alright, so let me arm auto throttle for my single prop custom. Hopefully they fix that. Toggle fill pump. So I need to get rid of toggle fill pump. Don't know why out of all the options we have on here they think someone's going to choose toggle fill pump as a button. That's important. Apply and save. Well, alright guys, I hope that helped cleared up some things for y'all. If y'all had any issues at all, like I said, that is how I have my profile set up. I hope that helped you see how you have to find things and clear things and level sorry, I'm tripping on my words here. Clear things to set up your profiles. You're obviously going to need more than one. You're obviously going to have to make this kind of universal like I did. But like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But that's how I have mine set up. If you want to do yours the same way, great. I could help you get there. The buttons stay the same, you know, basically after I set them up in that first configuration I did that I showed you. Only thing I changed later on is levers, and that's the only thing that's really changed in those different profiles after that point. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this video because we're coming up on 45 minutes. But I want to get this out there just to really help you guys get your profiles set up for different planes and it be more fun. And some of those people who were kind of lost, I really want to help all you out. So as always guys, love you all. Thank you for the support. Happy flying out there guys. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe and like button. And as always, until next time, happy flying guys. Pilot 0083 signing off.